Happy 11/11. I just got into Los Angeles a few days ago from France and Istanbul. Jason and I were traveling. We were in Italy as well for a few days. And coming back into Los Angeles, as soon as I got in the lift, which is similar to Uber, I get in the back seat, and as soon as my butt hits the cushion, the woman driving the car starts screaming at the top of her lungs, like pounding the window, screaming at a bus driver who had just cut her off. She was screaming, and we didn't move for 15 minutes in the middle of the road because she couldn't get through, and she was blaming it on everyone cutting her off. And I wanted to put my hands on her shoulders and look her in the eye and say, "Sister, you are so much more powerful than you think. You are not a victim of circumstance. You can create anything you want. And really, it comes down to one thing that's really missing in your life right now." Obviously, I didn't do this. She would have freaked out on me. You got to know when and where to share things. But really what I would have shared with her, which is what I want to share with you now, is that your frequency is your job. What I mean by that is her job, yeah, it's to drive a Lyft car and drive people around, but her primary job is her frequency. And when we focus on our frequency, how we feel, what energy we're bringing into the world, that is primary, and it literally informs every single area of our life. It literally makes the difference between doing a stellar job and doing a horrible job, between being successful and being a failure, quote unquote, between looking great and looking awful. I mean, between being in love with your family and your partner and your friends and being at war with them. Your frequency is your number one job, period. There's no way around it. And the really good news is that it's in each of our hands. It's in all of our control. We cannot control life circumstances as much as we would like to think so. We can influence them, we can collaborate, we can co-create with spirit, but we cannot control everything. And this woman was blaming, she was in victim mode, which most of our world is, blaming the outer world, blaming the government, blaming the school system, blaming whatever, whoever, outside of ourselves, blaming our parents for the way they raised us. That's a big one. But the truth is, we are the ones who are responsible for our frequency right here and right now. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying, get over it or any of that. I have total compassion. I felt for this woman because she started sharing with me her family dynamics. I mean, it was so intense that I honestly thought that I was on candid camera. I was sitting in the back of this lift going, "Where's the camera?" Because this is definitely a reality show. And I really thought that I was on camera because I was like, this doesn't happen. Like, this isn't real. It was that extreme. And she started going crazy about her family and how her husband's mom kicked them out of the house because she's, racist and they're a different culture and and then how her kids are suffering from all these diseases. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, this poor woman had so much going on in her life, but what she did not know, and the reason why things just keep getting harder, is because she did not know that her frequency is in her control. And this is a big, tough nut to swallow that most people don't. A tough pill we don't want to swallow, nuts, not whole anyway, but a big tough pill to swallow because a tough nut to crack, is that the saying? A tough pill to swallow because when we realize that we are in control of our state and that our frequency is actually our job, then guess what? We can't blame other people anymore. Oof. And when we can't blame other people anymore, we have to actually know how to manage our minds and our emotions, because the way most people are doing it is throwing their anger and throwing their pain at other people. And it never actually relieves anything, just temporarily maybe, like throwing a hot coal, but that pain inside and that anger inside is not resolved. So it just keeps coughing up these fireballs, right? And then we keep tossing them, blaming them. And that just creates suffering, war, pain, anxiety. It creates battle with our families and on a macro level with other countries. So the point of this video that I want to share with you is that today, yes, is 11/11. It's a powerful day, whether you buy into that or not. Every moment is powerful, and most powerful is you. So I share this video with a question. Is there any area in your life that you've been deferring responsibility and blaming the way you feel on somebody else? And are you open to the possibility that you, my friends, have a magic wand in your hand? You were born with that magic wand. As a little kid, you knew. As a little kid, you absolutely knew how powerful you are. You absolutely knew that infinite possibilities are available to you. And you also knew that your joy is a hot commodity, that your joy is something worthy of being prioritized. So what is it that brings you joy? And what is a dream in your heart that you'd like to see come to fruition over the next year? I encourage you to write that down, because as we know, when we write down a dream or write down a goal, it actually starts to create it, and there's a whole science behind it. It's not just quantum physics, which is anything you think is actually already existent in potentiality form, but also when you write it down, the part of the brain called the reticular activating system gets activated, meaning you start to consciously receive input from your environment that can support your dream to coming into fruition, that supports your goals. If this sounds too out there for you, Google the research from Harvard. Google research saying that when you write things down, you're 40% minimum more likely to achieve a thing, to actualize a dream, than if you don't write it down. May this video encourage you to step off the wheel of life for a moment, cause and effect, fighting against, blaming, whatever the reactions are, the human reactions, and ask yourself, what is the dream that you would like to create in your life, and how can you prioritize joy? And I don't mean like jump up and down joy. I mean the kind of joy that naturally bubbles up from within when you're relaxed. That Uber driver, because her frequency is her job, just like it's all of our jobs, the simple thing for her to do would have been to just stop, maybe turn her head over to me and say, look, I'm freaking fuming right now. I'm so sorry. Can you give me a minute? The clock's not ticking yet for your Uber. Just give me a moment. She maybe doesn't even have to say a thing, but she just stops for a moment, and instead of just screaming at the buses as they're going by, turn within and take a breath. That immediately brings her into herself, into her center, and then start to see and envision her ability to drive through that airport with ease, to drive through and see the cars parting for her. Start to open up a vision and start to activate the power of imagination. As Einstein said, imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions. So what are we focusing our visions on, our minds on, our thoughts, our words? Rest assured that it is supporting what we are living right now. So what is it that you want to create, and how can you take a step in that direction today? If any of the women from the Women's Circle today who shared your dream with me are watching this, I just want to thank you. I honor you and I love you with all my heart. I really appreciate what's in your heart, and I can't wait to see it come to fruition over the next year. All right. Mwah.